Different by design. Studebaker is. Studebaker is. Studebaker is.
Hi everyone, Kyle here again at the Studebaker National Museum, joining you once again from our small collections facility. Now the holidays are right around the corner, if you couldn't tell from my hat here. So that means kids everywhere are making their lists for Santa, and you can imagine that toys are at the top of those lists. Now, as I've shared in prior videos, a sizable portion of our collection here include items made by other industries here in St. Joseph County, in South Bend in particular, and that includes South Bend Toy Company. Now, in 1874, a grocery clerk named Frederick H. Bidette and a woodworker friend of his, John W. Teal, set up a small shop on the west bank of the St. Joseph River on the East Millrace. Now, one of the firm's main products were actually croquet sets, which quickly gained popularity around the country in the 19th century, as they were one of the few acceptable outdoor activities in which young women could participate. Now, croquet sets, like the example on display here, which mostly date from the 20th century, would remain a staple in the company's sales catalogs through the 1970s. Now, if any viewers are like me, I spent many hours trying to beat my sister, cousins, friends, etc. in our backyard growing up. So it's one of my favorite outdoor activities from my childhood. Now, in 1885, the outfit was officially named the South Bend Toy Company and moved its operations to 1012 High Street in South Bend, where it would remain for the next 85 years, just a few blocks away from a thriving wagon and carriage manufacturer named Studebaker you might have heard of. Now, you can see an image of the factory circa 1900 in this image here. Now, the company also began producing hand-woven willow doll carriages in 1895 and soon began offering a whole line of doll carriages or go-karts, like this elaborate example from the 1908 catalog, along with doll furniture and other doll accessories. Now, doll and baby carriages, like croquet sets, were top sellers for decades and actually were one of the few toys declared essential items during World War II. Now, though styles and materials evolved over the decades, doll strollers, like the two we have on display here, and carriages remained perennially popular. Just check out this page from the company's 1966 catalog. So a few other doll carriages you could have bought in the mid-60s. Now, into the 1910s and 20s, South Bend Toy began to diversify its products and introduce new lines of toys. The company offered everything from baseball bats to coaster wagons, as you can see in this illustration, this ad here, and stick and hobby horses to furniture like red bowback chairs and rockers, hampers, and toy chests. You name the toy, and South Bend Toy probably offered some version of it at some point. Now, perhaps one of the company's more iconic products were its child-sized Studebaker farm wagons, like this restored Studebaker Jr. example on the ground here. And those were initially built by Studebaker and sold at retail dealerships. And the little wagons became so popular that the vehicle maker made a deal with South Bend Toy to build them. Now, period advertisements and images, like these, often show young children being pulled by a goat or a dog or even an older sibling, which I'm sure always ended well for the younger sibling getting the ride in the wagon. Now, production of goat wagons ceased with the onset of World War II, but they remain very popular and are still very highly collectible today. So toy production remained at an all-time high until World War II, when South Bend Toy, like many other companies around the country, were converted to produce needed wartime products. Now, in this case, those products included special packaging for military vehicles and aircraft parts manufactured by Studebaker and the Bendix Corporation. And things like tent poles that also supported military efforts. Toy production resumed after the war, and in 1960, South Bend Toy actually became a subsidiary of the Playskool Manufacturing Company of Chicago. In 1968, Milton Bradley then took on both Playskool and South Bend Toy as subsidiaries, and in 1973 they moved its operations into the former Bendix home appliance plant on Sample Street here in South Bend. Now, at its peak in the 70s, South Bend Toy employed over 400 people, and many of those folks who were second or even third generation employees for the company. And the company continued producing sort of their It's bread and butter toys like doll nursery sets seen in this ad from 1971. But by the 1980s, domestic manufacturers were really hurting from cheaper toys being made overseas. And South Bend Toy eventually closed its doors in 1981. And if you remember at the beginning, that would be over 100 years since its founding. So if you're in South Bend this winter, please stop by and check out our new exhibit, Industry Spotlight South Bend Toy Company, which will be on display through February 21st, 2025, and features some rarely seen toys, similar to the ones we have here, from the Studebaker National Museum's collection. As always, thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you down the road.
Different by design. Studebaker is. Studebaker is. Studebaker is.